All right, Emma James is here for MediaWatch now. Good to see you, Emma. And you've been taking, turmoil and volatility, words like that being banded around today, but you've been looking at some of the fallout in the media following the Brexit vote.
Yes, in particular, starting off with the look at how the political parties are faring on this sort of rocky road that we're now on post-Brexit. This cartoon is from the Telegraph's Christian Adams and rather neatly shows how the EU referendum that we've just had, where it was simply in or out or leave or remain, was very simple compared to what we could end up having. He's there predicting a general election in the autumn of this year with lots of strange alliances and new parties, including I'm Not a Racist But party and the Bring Back Cameron and Pretend None of This Happened party. And it goes on for 36 pages, his idea of a polling paper, a ballot paper for autumn 2016.
It's certainly shaken up British politics, hasn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. I particularly like Monster Raving Trump Farage party, which is one of his own creations. But one of the potential candidates to step into the shoes of David Cameron is, of course, Boris Johnson, who is very much in the spotlight after penning this article in The Telegraph, in which he is, as you might imagine, very optimistic about the future for the United Kingdom post-Brexit. But if you look at what he's saying, the promises and the ideas are all very reliant on the European Union agreeing with what he said, or perhaps even coming up with their own solutions. So the ideas here are very much beholden to the European Union. And the I-100 has been taking a look at this particular column. And it says one thing we learned from Boris Johnson's column today and 8 things that we didn't. And they point out some half-truths involved there. The pound remains higher than it was in 2013 and 2014. Well, only, they point out, if you look at it against the euro, because up against the dollar, it's at a 31-year low.
Ah, clever.
At home and abroad, the negative consequences are being wildly overdone, he says. Now, the I-100 says, so what has he told us? Basically, he lives in fairyland, and Brexit campaigners have no idea what to do next. Now, earlier on today, Boris Johnson declared that Project Fear was over, which was the sort of negative campaigning that we saw during this, the run-up to the referendum.
Stay in.
Exactly. Nicola Sturgeon, the leader of the SNP in Scotland, said, indeed, Boris, Project Farce has now begun, and you are largely responsible.
Wow. OK, it's all going back and forth, isn't it? Sadly, there has been dozens of incidents of racism, racist incidents, and this is being directly blamed on the referendum result.
Absolutely. I think it's probably something of a perfect storm, because I think Twitter gives people an anonymous way to express themselves in quite often ways that they wouldn't in real life. But that, combined with the legitimacy that people feel in their sort of extreme, slightly racist, sometimes very extremely racist views, has been backed up by the idea that Britain wants to bring up the drawbridge and leave the EU. Now, Baroness Varsi, who is a Conservative member of the House of Lords, has put together a combination of many, many different tweets and experiences that people have had since the Brexit result was given on Friday morning. She uses the quote there from Boris Johnson, at home and abroad, the negative consequences are being wildly overdone. I wish they were, she says. Now, included in there are phrases like, we voted leave, now leave, and we're making Britain white again. The hashtags post-ref racism and post-Brexit racism are being used very widely. This particular Twitter account, Post-Ref Racism, is a place for people to tell what's happened to them, and it does make extremely depressing reading. Obviously, a lot of these things I can't read out because they are littered with swear words and obscenities. But this is the kind of thing.
This was really sad. This was in Cambridgeshire. It was left outside of primary schools.
It's been posted through people's letterboxes, put under the windscreen wipers of people's cars. This Twitter user says, cards put through letterboxes of Polish families in Huntingdon today. I could weep. Leave the EU, no more Polish vermin. And just to add to it, they've actually gone to the trouble of translating it into Polish on the reverse of that card. So they've gone to a lot of effort to make their racist feelings known. Swastikas drawn, stroke carved on my local bus stop. Truly disgusting. This one, Brexit vote has released a demon in the UK, the 1930s style of Nazi xenophobic racist behaviour. And you've got Brits only, no foreigners written there. One small footnote on this says some people using a bit of humour. Nobody said anything to me, but if you want to send me back to where I come from, it's £5.50 for a single to Huddersfield.
Oh, that reminds me of Lenny Henry in the 80s. He said something like that, one of his jokes. Anyway, we'll have to leave it there, Emma, I'm afraid, but thank you very much indeed. Emma James with Media Watch.